Hello, hello, and welcome to another podcast, A Simplistic Word with Elder Dwight Kenneth Kirk. Welcome, welcome, everyone. Welcome. On today, I just want to thank you for the feedback from the podcast from last week, for people that have been joining me, and to, just to spark this conversation about the things that are going on in our lives. On today, um, I want y'all to first go to Luke chapter 8, verse 50. I'm not going to read it. I'm just going to talk about a few things. And like I said, to spark conversation. Now everyone, I said today the podcast is only believe. Only believe. Now, in the scripture, Jesus was going to raise the dead young lady. Now, when I say, and he said to um, you know, the father, only believe, only believe. Now, I want you to understand when I say only believe, the church has us saying that I have to do 50,000 things. My belief is not important here. What I believe, if I'm not working, it's all null and void. If the church is not number one, all that means nothing. If I'm not paying my 10%, you can come to church all day long. It don't matter. Jesus said, only believe. See, man has put us in the position, everybody, that we don't believe that God will just do it because the way we're taught is God's not going to do it unless we do what he says. Now, I know what you're saying. You're saying, well, Elder Kirk, in my Bible, it says everything. God says that he's going to do things, but there's also punishment if we don't do. Now, the situation there, which I would like for y'all to, I lose people with this when I talk about this, and that's okay. In due time, you'll understand what I'm saying. What I say to y'all, everybody, about every time, when you may hear me from time to time say, the Bible is not the end all. You cannot just put God inside the Bible and then that's it. Because then, in this great big world, then there's nothing else. My wife and I were talking, and I said, why do you think that cults use a church format first? They use a church format first, then they start with acting stupid and acting crazy, and the people have already been brainwashed. Guess what? And then, as you can see on the ID channel, you see some cults. They have been some, and there are still some, Mormons and all. Christ said, only believe. Only believe. He did not say that father or that mother needed to do anything for him to heal that child except believe. We are so messed up. The world has come into into the church so much now that how people mix up old, let's say, slavery tales with what God wants. When I was talking about the white gloves, do your research on that. Don't just go by what Elder Kirk with the ushers that are wearing the white gloves, doing communion. I need y'all to understand that Elder Kirk always says what? Ask questions. But we're taught not to question God. I mean, if Elder Kirk is lying, please correct me. We're taught to not question God. Right? My wife, it was good. My wife, when she was, dealing with church at the time, she would always say, "I'm not questioning God. I'm questioning you because what you're doing is not lining up." You know, like I'm studying my Bible day and night. You know, I'm asking God for guidance. But when I come to you, what you doing doesn't seem right. But you always hear the pastor say, no, no. Oh, wait a minute. Were you here Friday night service? Oh, if you weren't here Friday night service, then you can't speak on anything. You're not in the flow of the building at this time. What nobody understands is the pastor always has a rebuttal where if you say something to them that says, no, wait a minute, pastor, I think you're wrong here. There's a rebuttal. Jesus said, only believe. Let's go here. Let's go here. When we talk about uh, 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 Jesus, man, please, I'm about to offend, so please, we do what the Jews were trying to do um, when Jesus was still alive. We have kinged him. We have put the crown on his head and said he's the all in all. And Jesus said, worship the Father. Jesus said, worship the Father. Right? That's what he said. We, everything is so mixed up. So much stuff is going on now that we're not even understanding who he is or will he even do it. Why? Because if I have no money, then I can't believe God's going to do anything for me. Hey, I grew up in the church. But what's that? What's that saying? God helps those who helps themselves. And that's not even scripture. But it sure has been used and still is, I'm sure. We're not questioning, okay, what happens? What happens here if I just believe God? I know what you're saying. Oh, Elder Kirk, I'm supposed to participate in the chicken and the fish fry on Friday to show that I support my pastor. I make sure the pastor's car is clean. And when the pastor goes out to speak, I make sure that the family has dinner and the gas is taken care of. Jesus said, only believe. We have the, I'm going to use the big word on y'all, adjutant to the pastor, which is what? Armor bearer? But the big word is adjutant. But you have the adjutant, which pretty much, is like the armor bearer, but I guess how they say it, they give their life, for the pastor. If something happens, they stand. I need y'all to understand some things. There are some things I was studying before I got here, so I'm trying my best not to jump around, but work my way to what Elder Kirk was studying. Um, Now, when we talk about the adjutant or the armor bearer, in this day and time, that's pretty much just the pastor's bodyguard. There's a book on the armor bearer. We're not understanding that we're doing Jewish tradition. And I understand with the Hebrew Israelites and stuff like that. And this word was that the Gentiles and stuff like that, but that wasn't even in the Hebrew Bible or the other Bible. That's just Gentiles is the word that was made up. But as Elder Kirk has said before, with much, let's say, disagreement, the Gentiles are a sect of the Jews. Because there were some Jews that the Jews didn't like. So if they were, they didn't study God or they didn't do the things that those Jews did, guess what? So I'm going to leave that there. We are not questioning the things that are happening in our times right now. Only thing we're saying is the Bible is saying, the Bible told us, the Bible told us. I've been hearing since I was a little boy, Jesus is coming back. He's closer now than he was before. We don't question. I was studying because I said that, now this is me. This is me. I said that, why did Jesus come back to, the earth? Because when he descended to heaven, he wasn't supposed to come back. He wasn't supposed to come back until the last day, the last day and stuff like that, and the trumpet sounds and stuff like that. But when he came to Paul, I said, wait a minute. But they said from heaven. So I said, okay, hold on. See, with studying, I asked a question. Through studying, I got an answer. See, I know I don't want y'all to be like, well, Elder Kirk, you're confusing us. What I'm saying is, when I talk about the Bible, I say that the Bible is not the end all. And when I say it's not the end all, remember, I said basic instructions before leaving Earth. Right? So what about the advanced and the professional? What about the things we can't just say that God only speaks to us through the Bible? This is 2019. And there are things happening now that we don't understand. Now, I know the scriptures say there's nothing new under the sun. But some things done changed. There are things that, that are going on. And I'm talking about, say, it's not always just black people. Everybody goes through this. Everybody's going to churches. Everybody's going to these cults, which is called, churches and denominations, and studying, I found out that the Jews are the ones that do this denomination stuff. We just adopted it. And I'm talking about Catholic, Baptist, Methodist. Jesus said, only believe. And I know my intellectuals, well, I can't just sit here and that's why stuff is messed up now. And that's why man got his hands on it and nobody understands who God is now. Everybody are getting on these podcasts and saying different things about God, different things about Jesus, and guess what? Everybody's confused. Just confused. We don't understand. We say we understand. We get up with our Sunday's best on Sunday and we say, God, I understand you. I know what this means. So then why are you always questioned by the church or the pastor or leadership who you are? It's always a game to keep you so you never really think that you are good enough to know who God is. That's why people don't go back to the church, because the church has to make sure that you remain docile, that you never get the confidence to move forward. You never, hey, guess like I said before, you will not speak against whatever president is in. You will not say bad things to your employer when you go to work. Because remember, in the Bible it says, be obedient to your master. I know what you see, Elder Kirk, you're picking and choosing, and you just, for there to be balance, questions have to be asked. And every answer is not going to come from a pastor that is doing a certain curriculum. It's just not going to come. It's not going to happen that way. That's not God. How do you think people say, I'm not going to a football game, that's a sin? Because that pastor and that denomination taught them that going to football games, going to movies, and doing these things that are of the world is not right. If you still, at this day and time, still going by hellfire and brimstone, it's too archaic. It's too old school. I'm about to say archaic. It's just too old school. It's like this government is ran by fear. I'm messing with God because I don't want to die. I'm doing this out of fear. I'm fearful for my life. Only believe. Live your life. Only believe. The church does not want you to have the type of lifestyle that you feel that you can be obedient to God and still be good. Why? Remember what I said, y'all. Being good is not enough. I was talking to my youngest son the other day, and he said, "Dad, I'm trying to be good. I'm changing and stuff." I said, "Hey," I said, "Son, along the way, being good, some people have to get checked and put in their place. You can't just be good all the time because you're going to get stepped on. You're going to be treated wrong. If you keep it in and hold it to yourself, guess what? After time builds up, something's going to have to give." I asked this question some years ago to a Sunday school class, and I said, why is it that it's always perceived, and I see it in movies and I see it on wrestling and stuff like that, that the good person that everybody likes has to get beat up on, tore up, stomped in the ground, then near the end, they jump up and they're victorious. I'm a wrestling fan. I used to look at John Cena. Oh, John Cena was a big guy, but he got his butt kicked all the time during all the matches. Then at the end, he come up and win. I would look at the karate flicks. You look at the karate flicks. What would happen? The bad guys would do stuff. The good guy has to go away so he can practice because he got beat up. He even get halfway beat up near the end of the movie so he can do the snake monkey fist or something, and then he win. Come on, y'all. Elder Kirk, you're a conspiracy theorist. I'm just tired of everybody waiting for stars and big name people to tell you the truth. It's just the white Kirk, 49 years old, was messing with the church from 10 years old. Well, I said from 1980 to 2014. 10 years old to 44. There's not too much any pastors really want to tell Elder Kirk now. Why? Because I done seen it all, I done heard it all. Come on. Since the internet and all of this, everything has been getting revealed, guess what happens? Y'all even know about as much as Elder Kirk does now. You don't have to go sit in a leadership meeting to find out what the truth is. What a Macedonia call is, praise and worship, tithes and offerings, altar call, all these things. Order of service. For a person that has been doing the order of service for 50 years now, guess what they know God as? An order of service. Jesus said, only believe. But man has us overworking, sitting in the church to die, and then that's it. I made the pastor happy. Oh Lord, the pastor. Used to make my wife mad, boy. Pastor said, my wife said, what did Jesus say? What God say? They get quiet, they were stuck. I've said this to young people before when I talk to them. I said, if I tell you so many times you need a man for about 2-3 years, guess what's going to happen? You're going to think you need a man. And I'm not talking about relationships. You are not going to know God, come on, unless there's a man teaching you to tell you. Now, the scriptures say when Jesus went to heaven, he left gifts. And the pastor's a gift. Now, since when did you have to give a gift to a gift? Just a question. Why if you were given as a gift, shouldn't the person that gave the gift, if the gift needs maintenance, take care of the gift? Because the gift was given to me. Now I know what you're saying. If you get a gift as a car, Elder Kirk, you have to take care of the car. We're in the spiritual right now, people. In the spiritual. We can't we can't make that difference. We can't, because guess everybody, honestly, and I'm not going to be on here long. I'm going to start making these shorter because our attention span, including mine, only goes for so long. So only believe, everybody. I know what you're saying. I wasn't raised that way, Elder Kirk. I don't understand that. I can't comprehend. That's not me. That's not who I am. I believe God in it. I believe God in everything too. Because guess what? One thing that I believe is that we need to believe in something. And the worst part about it in these cults, these people are believing in the wrong thing. You have these Quakers living out with the Mormons and all of them in Pennsylvania and all. Just, man, it's off the charts. But they believe in the same Bible. There's too much confusion. There's too much confusion going on. Okay, I'm done with that. I just have one more before I sign off here, everybody. But Raleigh had today the soul to vote. I might be saying it wrong. They had a thing where the church could come with their congregation to register to vote. So we're still pushing this. Now, like I said, I don't mess with the NAACP because they thinking that's the healer. That's how things are going to change for us. Since when? Isn't that what our ancestors died for? And look what we're still getting. I'll say it again. Is not that what our ancestors died for? And look what we're still getting. The short end of the stick. But we don't question. Elder Kirk does not support voting. Never will I. If you would like to talk about it, by all means. But please, nobody come to me thinking, I told you I came from the Reaganomics era, so please, you better make sure you know what you're talking about to come talk to Elder Kirk. Because I will tell you straight up, get out of my face with that nonsense. Because whoever wins whatever, I'll tell you to follow him. I tell you to follow him. My baby girl learned they wrote some letters to I forgot some representative or something. He never wrote back. He wasn't busy. He ain't doing nothing. Did not write back. I said, that's what I'm talking about. We sit here, we look at this, this circus on TV. Oh, it's impeachment time, and they're trying to do this and do that, and man, come on, y'all. Only believe, y'all. The people that are just believing, I got mad love for them because you living your life to the fullest. People that believe that what the church has taught them all of these years, and they're still stuck going to the building on certain days. They don't only believe; they're believing conditionally, and that's what our next podcast will be on, y'all. Let me get more in detail. Believing conditionally. Everybody, thank you for joining Elder Kirk today, and enjoy the rest of your Sunday.